Hello guys, it's CarpFishing.Tips. We were at fun fishing at Red Flake here in Alberton again, and this is where we were fishing. This is the weather we were fishing with and the fishing forecast. As you can see, it was pretty bad, but it got better in the afternoon. These are the bowl dips and the hook baits we were using. This was on our one bowl. This was our number two rod. And this was our number 3. As you can see, pretty varied baits. We tried quite a few, given that we were in a new position and we weren't too sure what the fish like on this side of the dam. As we've proven in previous episodes, just because you're on the same dam doesn't mean that the fish like the same stuff. Funnily enough, you'd think that wouldn't be the case. We're still testing out the pellets at Fun Fishing. You can buy a bag of pellets for 20 bucks, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and they usually are pretty good to bring the bite quite quickly. We spread the pellets all around our rods in, more or less where we threw out our ground bait. We try to create a bit of a feeding zone, and it didn't do too badly. We got a couple of bites on both our rods. A little bit weird, like it was almost as though the fish were picking up at the ground bait, but they weren't actually getting the hook. Oh, and then we had this interesting little visitor. Beautiful bird. I don't know what it's called. I have no idea. But you'll see him pop up now. There he goes. They're a long-tailed something, I think, because they have a long tail. So yeah, that was quite cool. It's one of the nice things that you get to experience when you go fishing. Often the birds get used to the ground bait, so they'll come around and have a peck. It can be a nuisance now and again, but usually it's quite okay. The birds will run away when you tell them to. Yeah, so that was quite cool. Made a change of scenery for us. Yeah, so we got a few bites on the rods. Nothing what do they call it? That certain. As you can see here, we picked up the rod, thought we had a bite, and it turns out that we just got snagged up in a whole bunch of line and rigs and all of that kind of thing. So I'm not sure if a fish came past and dropped the rig, or if we were just unfortunate and landed up in rigs that were left in the dam. We do find that the closer to those concrete pillars in the dam that you can see to the left of the screen, normally the closer you fish to them, the more likely you are to get snagged, number 1, and number 2, the more likely you are to, when you pull out your rig, you tend to have either line or an old rig attached to it or something like that. We did just move our rig maybe about a foot away from the pillars, and that stopped being a problem. We did see a lot of fish near the surface. Like, it seemed to be fairly small carp, probably about a kilo, maybe 1.5 kilos, and they were cruising around on the surface and just slurping up on the surface. So we tried to we changed the we try to do some surface fishing, which didn't work well for us in the beginning. We tried our bass rod, which, if you're curious, bait what do they call it, a bait caster. doesn't do very well with very light tackle. It does need a little bit of weight, otherwise it just bird's nests up no matter what you do to it. And if you do tighten everything up, then what happens is the line doesn't go anywhere. So you definitely need a little spinning rod. We found that our telescopic rod was absolutely perfect for this. We ended up tying on one of those red and white floats onto the little telescopic, and we almost cast it to the other side of the dam on the first cast, which surprised us. But yeah, not that the dam is very long, in terms of straight distance. It's probably about maybe 20 meters, probably not even, maybe it's even 15. It's really not far. We saw a lot of risers as well. There were risers all around us the whole time. We even saw clouds right against the bank, but for some reason we just couldn't get the fish to actually get hooked this week, which was bizarre. And especially since the last 2 weeks we've had a really good run in the morning, we definitely thought the afternoon would be much better. Yeah, so definitely if you're not sure which rod to use, don't use a rod with a bait caster on it to try and surface fish with just a hook and a little bit of bait. We actually used a garlic float because that was the only white bait we had, and we knew it would float. We almost caught a little fish. I think either he got spooked or we got spooked, and he just missed the hook by a little bit, which was unfortunate. Would have been nice to get that. We do have some foam that I suppose is actually for zig rigs, but that didn't work as well as the garlic float, funnily enough. So yeah guys, unfortunately this week we don't have any beautiful catches for you to see, but we got some tips for you. Definitely get yourself a little telescopic with a spinning reel so that you can surface fish. Otherwise just use your normal rod and reel that you got if it's a spinning rod. Bait casters are great for bass fishing and for carp bottom baiting and fishing, but they really don't do any good on the surface. You just can't get the hook and bait out on a bait caster. Or maybe I'm wrong, hey, I don't know, but the little bit I tried on Sunday afternoon, it just didn't want to know, it wasn't going anywhere. Yeah, so those are our tips for the week. Have a great day. Wish you tight lines and have a great weekend, guys.